All right, welcome everybody. We are officially being live streamed on YouTube, and welcome everybody from, this is Hamden Action Now. This is our Sunday night talk about town issues. Today's talk is going to be about the Hamden proposed budget. Our mayor has submitted to the Legislative Council a budget that is proposing a 7% increase. So I believe, the average town resident will be charged somewhere between $800 to $1,000 more per year for property taxes. So before the town council, made their decision on Thursday, on Tuesday, actually it's the 17th, we wanted to just talk to a few little residents, from Hamden, and hear what their thoughts are. How is this going to impact? Here's the first question. How is this personally going to impact your personal budget with regard to this increase that's being proposed? Because, based on what we've been hearing, the cuts that are happening aren't going to be that severe by the Legislative Council. So I'm not too sure. We're going to get some type of increase. And as you know, Hamden is the fourth largest, highest tax base in the state of Connecticut. So what are your thoughts? And if you want to introduce yourself, that'd be great. You could tell us where you live. You don't have to, but you can just introduce yourself and we're also asking folks to raise your hand if you possibly can, and keep yourself muted if you can when you're not speaking, so we don't get a lot of feedback. So Rob Clark, would you like to go first?
Yes, I appreciate that. I just found out about the meeting within a couple of days. So I was actually just gonna, kind of stand back and kind of listen to, some of the discussion. Didn't really have too much input, but I certainly just wanted to kind of, listen out and see what the, what some of the chatter was.
Sure. What about you, Seth? How are you feeling tonight?
As everyone knows, it's an incredibly difficult situation with the town budget that's, excuse the language, but sort of damned if you do and damned if you don't. And, there's a lot of ground to make up, and the problem is making it up on the backs of people who are homeowners here who can afford to pay the least is really problematic. But and I don't know, what I have heard, especially from the mayor's office and from past administrations, is that there aren't that many places to cut. It's healthcare costs, which are just enormous for everyone, everywhere. And other things that we're contractually bound to as a town. So I think everyone needs to do as much as they can with as little as they can of our tax money. But it's also just a very difficult situation for the town. And there are no painless solutions, but we do know that during the last reval, people's taxes went up the most in areas where they could afford it the least. And so to keep increasing on top of that is a real problem for a lot of people. So I live on Heloise Street. I forgot to say that part. I also mostly want to listen, so I'm going to stop talking for now, but it's just a difficult situation.
I know, I live over in the 8th district. I live over by Beer Path School. And, I've been talking to some of the neighbors here and some of the folks, and everybody has, we keep hearing from the administrations, the Lang administration, now the Garrett administration, that this is kind of a situation that we cannot stop. These are, I guess, union agreements and things that were already approved. And also, folks that are currently retired, we've got obligations to them as well. But I think the thing that has really kind of gotten everybody feeling a little uncomfortable is that we're this new budget is even looking to hire new people. There's, an arts director and some other folks that are, even being considered for hire, which is problematic. If we're already having to pay for retired folks, which we have an obligation to pay them because, again, that was the contractual arrangement, then what do you all feel? How do you feel about bringing on new people in a town that's currently in such, a tough situation fiscally? Randy, I don't want to cut you. I don't want to cut you either. I wanted you to come in and jump in too in this conversation.
Hi, Rhonda. Thank you. Yeah, I'm listening and I'm trying to see what some of the arguments are. I mean, obviously, I guess the biggest question would be what would some of these positions be? How would they afford to do without if that was the case? So what are they bringing to the table, at least for the citizens that would make it worthwhile to hire them, and what would we lose out in not hiring them?
Mm-hmm.
And then of course evaluating those that we have now. Obviously you mentioned the ones that retired or retiring. I'm talking about the ones that are active, and evaluate some of those positions. Maybe that's something else we need to look at. The money's got to come from somewhere. I mean, you're either hiring someone to do something that is not being done that you need done, or you're cutting. I mean, to hire them, you're cutting and dismissing someone else's something else that you need.
Sure.
That's it.
Sure.
Okay, we got it.
Okay.
Hi.
Thanks a
Hi,
lot.
Ernestine, how are you?
Hi.
Bye now.
I'm gonna go ahead and mute you guys. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I work for the state of Connecticut. So I already kind of know how, union contracts go and how they're constantly, they always seem to be renegotiating something, whether it's healthcare or it's, wages or, there's always, it seems to be always a constant state of renegotiating contracts. And I can't wait till our town could get to that place where they can start renegotiating things. We continue to hear the same things that, well, this is the contracts, there's nothing we can do. We've got to, meet these obligations. But when do these contracts end? I think that's another question I would love to ask the administration. And I hope that the Legislative Council can look at that so that at least the residents can know when there's light at the end of the tunnel. How many times do we have to keep adding and adding, to what we're having to pay? I've been, providing affordable housing and developing, and now I'm a regulatory agent. I work for an agency that regulates affordable housing throughout the state of Connecticut. And homelessness in our state is such a problem. We have such a shortage of affordable housing in Connecticut, here in Hamden. We have less than 10% of our housing stock in the town is, deemed affordable. And so when we increase taxes to people who are already on the brink, we are effectively causing, or perpetuating homelessness. We're making housing less affordable when we increase taxes and things that are things that have to be paid regardless to your financial situation. I mean, nobody here can just decide that we're not going to pay our property taxes. It just doesn't work like that. So I have these discussions about property taxes because it's a problem with the housing stock that's already not affordable. And that's a concern. And I hope that our Legislative Council can look at it like that and look that this is bigger than, we're already in a bit of a crunch with affordable housing in our town and regionally in the New Haven County region. But when you have folks that are, we hear from people, on Facebook and out, and I'm, a retiree. I'm just barely, I'm on a fixed income and I'm just barely, getting by. Now I've got to find even more money to pay for my housing expense. And without paying, then you lose your house or you walk away. And now that the interest rates are rising, because obviously our federal government is trying to slow down the inflation with the higher interest rates, it's making our homes even less attractive when we have higher property taxes and we have rising interest rates. So that there's so many moving parts and there's so many pieces of this pie that I want to continue to have these discussions with the community and invite people on so we can talk more about, how does this going to personally affect, a single mom with kids who, is struggling with rising costs of daycare and food and gas prices that are now, $4.50 a gallon. And now her mortgage payment is going to be maybe $100 more whenever this kicks in. $100 is a lot of money for certain folks. And we really can't take it for granted, especially when we're trying to prevent homelessness and prevent people from losing their homes and keeping people, in their homes. We have to, I want the council and the town and everybody to look at it as this is more than just, hiring for these things that we might be able to pass on for a couple of years and consider, our housing stock is already not very affordable to begin with. So Miss Hayes, I know you're on. Did you have any things that you wanted to share? How is this going to impact you personally?
Well, I just want to make a comment, and that is, I heard the Governor Lamont, said that he's going to cut taxes. So he's going to cut, I think it's he cut the gasoline taxes. And he's also going to cut, I guess, the property taxes. If he's going to cut state taxes. So if he can cut taxes, why is it and how is it that the town of Hamden is going to increase taxes? I just don't get it. He's going to cut the sales taxes. I don't get it. I don't know if he's looking at the the COVID money that was left over, mm-hmm. And if that is the case, if they have what they call a rainy fund, if they have funds that was left over they have not spent, why not share some of that money with the towns that are having some problems with their budget? That's my question. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know it's political because the governor is up for re-election, and you have a Republican, what's his name? The Stephanopoulos. I don't know.
Bob Stefanowski. Yep.
Yeah, and he came out saying, that he was going to cut taxes. So if the governor can cut taxes, why can't we find a way to reduce the taxes in the town, same as the state?
Yeah.
That's where I am. That's just, a question. I'm just looking at things. And the other thing I would like to say, people who have a problem paying their mortgages, I heard Senator Chris Murphy saying that there's a fund. If you have a problem paying your mortgage, you can get help up to $30,000. Now, I don't know any of the particulars, the details, how you qualify, who qualifies. I don't know any of that, but that's out there.
Sure.
So if there are people who need help with their mortgages, he suggested the other day, he was at a press conference that there's that $30,000. You can, I guess, get a reduction on your mortgages if you're having some difficulties. And that's it.
Ms. Hayes, I appreciate you telling us that, because again, there's so many of these programs that people don't know about. And a lot of times we want to try to get as much of this word out to our community as we can, because, you know, when you're about to lose your house, or you're about to be homeless, or you're about to be evicted or foreclosed on, you're a little frantic. Okay. It's a little frantic. And so, you know, these are the greatest opportunities. I'm going to look, Rob Clark, do you have some information to share on that?
Let me unmute here. No, I was just jotting that down to try to get some additional information. I mean, I know there was Unite CT for some time, had some, I guess, appropriated some funds for folks who are having trouble with mortgage and rent, as well as the utilities. And I got that word out to a number of folks. I am a real estate agent in for Connecticut, but my focus is Hamden, New Haven County. You know, I certainly have an interest when it comes to housing and affordable housing. And, you know, it has been known for some time, the tax issue. And when it comes to property tax in Hamden, you know, because I hear about that often, you know, folks that are either looking to move out of Hamden, unfortunately, or folks who are considering to move into Hamden, that issue comes up. So that was one of the other reasons why I wanted to kind of jump in on this Zoom to, you know, get somewhat of a feel of, you know, what some of the discussions were around these increases. I mean, is it something related to the result of the pandemic? And, you know, did that have some factor? Of course, we know folks, you know, are kind of just recovering, if they're even at that point, you know, from the pandemic. We know a number of folks probably took advantage of the forbearance and looking to recover from being on a forbearance for some time. Is, you know, lucky that that was offered to prevent folks from going into foreclosure on their home. So that was a great program. But I certainly want to know about some of these programs that are available if they're coming from the state level, from the government, the governor, because that would be something to know about. I sent out a newsletter, and I've included the Unite CT information in that newsletter, and I know a lot of folks took advantage of that. Yeah.
Well, that's terrific. I just, if anyone has any other information that you can share tonight with regard to any programs to help folks who, like you said, are still recovering from, you know, job loss, loss of wages, loss of business. A lot of small businesses got hammered when things just shut down. They fell behind on payments and things. Please let us know. Hamden Action Now has a website, so we're going to be working to get that updated and have a page specifically designed for programs that are available to help, you know, prevent you from losing your home. That's a major problem. We want to keep people in their homes, as we don't want them to be, families with children, families, people who are either retired or disabled. We don't want them to be losing their properties or losing their homes, and because they really don't have anywhere to go. The shelters are full. It's just not good. So I'm not too sure. I just know that there was this increase that's being proposed. I know there are a few new positions that are being proposed. And I think that these are very desperate times. We are coming off of a pandemic. We already were in trouble as a town financially. Our bond rating, I know, is the lowest that it could possibly be because we borrowed all that we can borrow. So we can't really, I'm not too sure if it would be even make sense to even borrow any more money because we'd be paying very high interest rates as a town. We also have, the group that neighborhood 40, which has the multiplier, who will be being hit even the hardest. That's that in the section behind you all with Prospect Hill section of Newhall. So I just want us to continue to talk and invite each other and the neighbors on to talk on Sunday evenings about these things that are affecting our community, and hear more from each other on any kind of resources that are available to help people who are in the brink of losing their homes. I saw, Seth, you dropped something into the chat, which I want to just open that up.
Yeah, so this is an article. It's an article that I found that must be what Miss Hayes was talking about, because there's a picture of Chris Murphy in it. And it's from 2 days ago. So there is some program, but this article does not provide any information really about it. And I've been Googling around to try and find more information and have not yet found it. So yes, Chris Murphy's obviously talking about something that is hopefully going to be put into place and will be helpful, but we need to figure out what it is. And just to emphasize what you were saying about, Rhonda, about how hard it is for people to find out about these things and to even know they exist. But even once somebody knows one of these programs exists, applying for it and making sure you cross all your T's and dot all your I's and do everything you need to do when, as you said, people who need it the most are under a lot of stress. And it's a lot it's a lot easier to just find ways to help people by not making them pay as much in taxes as it is to put stress on them by making them pay more and more, and then they have to try and apply to a program and need to do it perfectly correctly, or they don't get the money. And it's a lot easier to just find ways to reduce the stress and reduce the cost than it is to go through the cycle.
I agree 100%. A lot of times, our agency does really great work. Our single family department, I work for Chaffa, and in the multifamily department, we do awesome things. Our board is awesome. They've opened up so many avenues for people to, prevent, losing, getting into, foreclosure, and also to buy. They're expanding the parameters of people to be able to buy. But if you're already, buying a house is hard. It's a hard job. Rob, you're a realtor. It's a hard job to even buy a house, to try to find something, qualify, your credit report, your down payment, and that's a frantic time, and the prices, because of the inflation, the prices are off the charts. We look at something that was just sold to someone in 2018 for 180,000, and now it's on the market again for like 265. That's a lot. That's a huge increase. So it's very hard. I mean, right now, housing is just really a difficult thing for everybody. Even the renters. Scrog did a great report on a study on housing the rental market here in New Haven County, and how there's such there's a group of folks that are very wealthy and can afford to pay very high rents, and they're kind of it's pricing out the people who are the middle income folks. Like the average rent is $1,500, and a lot of people can't afford to pay that. So where do they go? I mean, so they go to these landlords that aren't really the greatest landlords that we hear about. And they have to rent there because that's where they can find an $800 a month rent. Whereas, the $1,500 a month folks, the people who are living there they can afford to pay $5,000. So, they can go and live anywhere they want. So it's just really, when we think about, our budget, it's so much more, I think, than, we've got to consider the people that are going to be impacted by this and the community. We don't want to see people walk away from their houses and then that house becomes blighted, and it's next door. It's in a nice community, but now it's blighted because it's been abandoned. And then squatters get in there, and then all sorts of other things happen. We don't want that. We want, our neighbors who, we are friendly with, and we all, we know and we care for in our community, to be able to stay in their homes as long as they can. And that all has to be considered when they're considering these budgets in these towns, in our town. There's so many people impacted by this, and we just can't take it for granted that, oh, it's just $100, it's no big deal. But that is a big deal. If you're already below, you're already, right at the edge, or either, paycheck to paycheck, and, only really just having enough to make ends meet anyway. That's another financial burden that you now have to deal with, another $150 a month or $200 a month. We just got to find a way to bring these things to an end somehow, or renegotiate them, so we don't have to continue to have the tax burden on the people, like you said, Seth, who can afford it the least.
Yeah. I have a follow-up question. Randon mentioned something about those positions. If the positions are new positions, or are the essential positions that's going to be added? Are they new positions? Or the money, the salaries will be built into this new budget? Do you know?
Yeah, I know.
Rhonda,
yeah, the first person I believe I heard was there's a arts director that was being hired. Now I think
is that a new position of a position that was vacant?
I believe it's a vacant position.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And I think that there's also a beautification person who is currently a contractor, but they are going to bring her on as an employee. I know there are many vacant positions. I'm also a chair of the Hamden Police Commission. There are many vacant police officer, I believe, patrol positions that are vacant. But I don't.
At the press conference a couple of days ago, when the deputy chief was brought on, he said that there are 15 positions in the police department
that are vacant. Yes.
That's vacant. Yeah.
And yeah, as you know, so that's another situation. And then you have the Board of Ed, which I know the Legislative Council agreed to, I guess they call it flat fund, basically not give them an increase for this next budget period. So that was a savings about $600,000. But I'm really curious to see what the Legislative Council, once they tally up all of the things that they're reducing, what the percentage is. And I know this is all has to be done by Tuesday, the 17th. So I also want to encourage the community to put these Zoom meetings on from the Legislative Council. Let them play in the background. A lot of times I'll just put it in my ears. I'm just listening. If you want, put in public comment, tell them, let them know. I know they're going to be doing deliberations tomorrow, and obviously Tuesday is going to be a long day because they've got to come to a conclusion on all their reductions and then vote. So if you go to the town website and go to the Legislative Council link, it'll give you the Zoom login information. Just put it on in the background and just kind of hear the comments and the considerations, and also some of the other public comment. There was when they rolled out the budget the first day, there was a group that came in and was very vocal about being concerned about these increases and how it was going to personally affect their finances. So, these are all things that we want to make sure our voices are heard in the 5th district and in, the South End, which is the 5th, the 3rd, and portions of the 2nd district. I've always felt like, they're just never heard. It's like decisions are made that affect everybody in the town, but somehow the fifth, the second, and the third, bottom part of the second, they're never really heard. That's, that's a concern. So I always try to open up my platform to hear from the community with regard to the budget, policing. How do you feel about policing? How do you feel about this? Tell us how you feel. And then it can get back to the leadership so they can know that the entire, how the community feels about these things.
And what is the website again? Could you repeat that so people can jot it down and
it's the town of Hamden.com. And then when you go into that page, it gives you links to, you can go to councils and boards and click on that and go straight to the legislative council. And then it just brings up their own page, and it just lists all the meetings, and that gives you all the Zoom login information. Actually, you can click right into the link and it'll just bring it up if it's actually an active meeting. Go to those meetings. We're going to keep talking on Sunday nights. I told Mrs. Hayes, invite as many people as you can so we can continue to talk about issues. I mean, we still have to talk about what's going to happen with the Hamden former middle school building. I know that the developer that they had proposed, wasn't a right fit. His plan wasn't a right fit for the current community, but we can't let it sit for another 20 years. No. No. So we have to continue that discussion and bring some proposals to the mayor and the legislative council on what we recommend. I mean, I recommend immediately they demolish both of those buildings. That is terrible for the property values for the neighbors there. So immediately that needs to be in the budget. Tear down the buildings, just level it, clear it, haul it all away, and just make it all open. And then at least that's a start that gets the community whole. And then start to interview some developers with some plans on what they like to see out there, and include the community, let the community have conversations and make recommendations on the development, because we got to live with it. They can make these decisions and head back to, West Todd or Sherman Avenue or, Shepherd Avenue. But, we need to be at the table when these discussions are had about this, and it cannot sit for another 20 years. Just cannot. So,
I agree.
This is the perfect opportunity to continue have these conversations about taxation. We're all getting a bill. We all get a tax bill. Doesn't matter where you live in Hamden, you're getting a tax bill. Like clockwork, it's going to show up. So we need to have a voice in what's being charged to us. We need to have a voice in what is happening to that building. We cannot let it sit in that blighted condition. The town cannot own blighted property and just let it sit. So I know the economic development director, I guess his name is Eric Johnson. I'm not too sure what his, he needs.
Could we ask a question? How much, Rhonda, could we find out approximately how much it would cost to demo that building?
Yes, I will. I think that the original discussion was somewhere around $1 million to take both of the buildings down. The gym and the old building, but I think we probably need to force that conversation, because if we don't, it's going to we're going to blink and another 10 years is going to go by and it's going to still be sitting there. So I would definitely like to send an email and start asking, what is the plan like now? Like some developers need to get on it now. We need to start interviewing developers now. Get on it now, find out how you can secure your financing and get it together.
And are there any money, maybe from the state, that could help with the demolition of that building?
Not too sure. If they had a plan on how they're going to develop it, yes, that could be a part of the plan. If you have a plan.
State or federal.
State
or federal.
Yeah. But that's why we need to make them have conversations and keep it on the table, because they would need to probably, I mean, if I was on the council, you know, the first thing I would do is have them vote on putting out an RFQ to hire a consultant who does development, multifamily development, or either commercial development, and have those come in and bring in consultants to help consult with the legislative council. So then they can then go out and put together a plan to either bring, maybe some housing, maybe some housing to buy, some purchase, housing for purchase, and also bring in some commercial over there. Because that's really what the community wants. The community doesn't want more, low-income housing only. And you need a community space over there as well. I mean, you have all the ballparks, you have Mill Rock, Volano Park and all that good stuff, but we also would need indoor community space, which would be great over there in that spot because everything's there anyway. But, we need to make them and force them and continue to rattle the cages so that doesn't just slip away and we don't have anything and you're sitting here looking at this for the next 3 or 4 or 5 years.
It's certainly. Yeah, go ahead, Randy.
I wanted to ask, could it be that the preparation, obviously any land that is developed, there is an amount of preparation that needs to be in. So it's not only the demolishing of those buildings, but that whole property previously would need to be remediated, right?
Yeah. Yep. They had
and
a
there
plan.
are probably some other questions as to, how to put in the foundations in that area that may be pretty costly too.
We have these discussions now, like that discussion regarding the landfill problem, the brownfields.
Well, didn't Olin I would think Olin set some funds aside, I would hope. I mean, I guess, that's what most of the remediation for that area was from Olin, and I guess some was federal funds as well, right? That made it possible for the project and the work that was done up to today, right?
Yeah, the Regional Water Authority had done a lot of it along with DEEP. Connecticut's DEEP came in and said that this is what they needed to do in order to get approval.
Sure. But it's been sitting too long.
Oh my goodness. When I found out how long that thing has been sitting there, I was furious.
The house across from the incubator, that was an interesting project because that was an energy efficient home. And I know there was some requirements as to the folks who moved in there, but I wonder what the results of that was because, maybe something like that could be done on that land over there where the middle school or junior high school was. I don't know if you're familiar with that home. They raised the home that was there because it was condemned for the most part. And then they built a new home, and there were some requirements. It was energy efficient. I think the energy efficiency was fairly high. And I know the folks who moved in there had to have some requirements as far as ownership and how they maintained it, I believe. But it seemed like it was an interesting project there.
Yeah, that I remember the previous home that was there building. It was it was the disaster. The beams of that house previously was cracking at in the middle of the beam. The beam in the basement that runs across the whole house up. That whole falling apart.
Yeah, that was quite a bit of foundation issues on that property. Sure.
Yeah,
but I know
so most of they don't have a basement. It's above ground.
Oh, okay. The new structure, no basement on the new structure.
It's above ground. It's like the condos on Leader Hill.
Oh yeah. Okay.
They don't have a.
I know there was a restoration company that actually took a good part of the home that was raised, and they refurbished some of those. I guess the windows, I think, and the doors, maybe the radiators. I think it had radiators in there, but They tried to preserve quite a bit of the material when they
Mhm.
demolished that building or that house.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was an interesting project all around.
Well, that was probably the outcome of the fact that they had to do the remediation on both sides of that. Some houses wouldn't survive
Yeah,
that.
well, that in that house, yeah, had major structural problems.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, we just need, they've got to have a plan, and we need to make them keep it on the front burner, because it's really a disgrace that this poor community down here has had to look at that for so many years. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And we can't let it go much longer. And, we're going to also, I think it's also probably going to be helpful to also reach out to people in the community and find out if they can let us know if their neighbors are suffering financially, and on the brink of maybe, losing their place, losing their house to foreclosure, because we want to make sure they know what kind of resources are out there. So I just put in the chat the Legislative Council link, and then also the link to the Legislative Council calendars. So that has the links that you can click on to go right into the meetings, to hear what's being discussed. They're going to be into a lot of discussion tomorrow and Tuesday. And feel free, if you go to that website, the Legislative Council general website has the phone numbers and the email of the council. So if you want to send an email to them specifically, or they have the general LC input at hamden.com, which you can actually send in some comment on just in specifically, and share that information out to the council. Let them know your concerns, and let's talk some more about, once this budget gets, in place, how we can also kind of communicate with the community to find out if there are any of our neighbors are suffering, that we can maybe help refer some resources so they don't lose their house. Or they don't lose their apartment, or they're not sitting in the dark because their utilities are turned off. Because there's that too.
So I downloaded it and I could send it to, I think Ms. Hayes, if you're on the phone, I could text it to you if you don't have it at later.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that going to be streamed, those meetings on Tuesday?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
they're actually, no, they're not streamed, but you can actually log right into the Zoom. It's a webinar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, and then even after that, I would even encourage everyone to join even after the budget has been, finalized and whatnot. So we can all, keep, and then talk to the council, call your council people, the at-large people, call for your specific district, and tell them how you feel about things. And so they can be aware of what the community, because they don't hear from everybody. I think they just hear from one side, or a few little people will rattle their cage, but I think they need to hear from more folks. All right. Awesome. So I'm going to talk some more next Sunday at 8:00 if you all want to join again. I want to talk a little bit more, bring some more resources together about, what should be proposed for the Hamden the former middle school project. So we can talk more about maybe formulating a letter to the town, to the mayor, on what we would like to see at that location, and how and when we'd like to see it. That would be great. Because I hope that they've got a plan written into this budget. That's for starters. I hope y'all got a plan written into this budget for that middle school on what you're going to do. Even if there's just a plan to hire a consultant or an attorney to work with the Legislative Council on a plan. At least put some funds in there for that. Because if there's no funds at all in there for the middle school, I will be really a cranky person.
Rhonda, question, do you have a digital card that we could send out to, so people that we meet and we talk to in our everyday business, we could just say, send them a link or for the next meeting and tell them, hey, if you have something you want to bring and be in the meeting and add to the meeting, that would be good.
Yes, what I'll do,
instead of just
what I could do is I will I will put the link on I'm going to update our website probably tomorrow, between tomorrow and the end of the day tomorrow. And I'll put the link to the Zoom. So, you can just share that with folks. And then what they could just do is inbox our page, and then we can give them the password.
Okay.
Awesome. And this way we could just keep talking. We need to keep this going. Because I'm telling you that middle school, I'm not going to let that slide.
Yeah. I don't think you should.
Not going to let it slide.
Yeah.
We're not going to let that go. No. They, now that that's over, that little contractor, the developer went away. We're not going to let it slide.
Yeah, I didn't know that went away, that developer. I knew there was some talk about it. But
Yeah, they voted it down. They voted not to extend the contract. So the contract expires on May 31st. So, I mean, and honestly, I mean, I know that they signed, the previous administration signed the contract with them, or, plan to sign an agreement with them. But I mean, they're not really good landlords. I mean, Ms. Hayes brought it up that the property that they have right across the street from the Keefe Center, I mean, the grass is tall as me, and it's not well maintained, and they owe over $150,000 worth of property taxes on that property.
Oh,
I mean, we need owners that pay. We already have a cash flow problem in our town. We don't need, So it's really interesting that they, as a developer, would come and want us to sign a contract to do more business with them, and they're not even in good standing with our town.
Yeah.
It's just incredible.
We came very close to doing it too.
I'm telling you, I was like, wait a minute, like they're not even a good steward over the property that we've already, that they already have with us. And I mean, $150,000, and they haven't paid full property taxes since, you can go to the website and look this up, because that's what I did. I just put the address in, and it was like the last time they paid was like 2018. Many years. They're way behind. And, they've got to get that current. I mean, I can't believe that the town isn't putting a tax lien on the property and foreclosing on the lien. I mean, I know they're a nonprofit, but I mean, they're collecting rent. They've got to pay the taxes. Yeah. We need the money. So
I know the police department was over there at the middle school, but I guess they even cleared out because it wasn't in good enough shape for them to even want to be there. No,
it's very bad. It's not safe.
Yeah.
And it's wide open. Like, I think what I'm going to do is do like a little quick video so we can, have it on some pictures and videos. So our next Sunday get together, we can, talk about that some more. And I will talk to our office. I'll talk to the people in multifamily and say, listen, what do you guys suggest we should, recommend to the town on what they should do with this property? Because we can't let it sit another 20 years.
Awesome. I have a follow-up question with Seth. Are you going to do the follow-up on that program from Chris Murphy?
I'll keep looking for something that has more information than this article does. And I'll see if I can find something, and I'll let you know. Okay,
so I will give his office a call and see if I can get some information.
Well, that might be the more direct way to do it. So that would be fantastic. So yeah, that would be great if you did that, and I'll keep looking in the local media to see if there's more information. And between the two of us, hopefully we'll come up with something.
Okay, because I would like to follow up on that.
Yeah, go right to the source. That's fantastic.
Awesome.
Yeah, because he was on Jonathan on talk show today, and he talked a little bit about that, but it was mostly about what happened in Buffalo, but he just kind of mentioned it a little bit, about that program, but I not too much. He concentrated on Buffalo and Sandy Hook today.
Right.
Yeah, but I will follow up. I will make a phone call. Or at least email so we can have it in writing. I will email.
Great. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much,
Okay.
everybody. It's 9 o'clock. I don't want to hold everybody. I know it's late on Sunday night, but thank you so much for coming. Let's try to see if we can talk again next Sunday at 8 o'clock.
Rhonda,
Go ahead.
if I could just mention, I'm sure you all probably know about the festival coming up, the Hamden Town Festival and Business Festival on June the 9th. It's going to be over there at the Hamden Town Center Park. And I know my office plans to have a table there. I'm actually over on 2508 Whitney Avenue is where my office is.
Okay.
Right down from the town hall, Hamden Town
What
Hall.
sort of festival? What sort of festival, Ralph?
I didn't hear you.
What kind
What's
of?
the name of the festival?
Oh, yeah, that's the Hamden Business Festival, and I guess it's the town yearly festival that they have. And I guess they're looking at upwards to, I guess the last 3 years, they had 10,000 attendees. But it's the one that I mentioned to you is going to be near that, I guess, the library over there, or the,
Oh, yes.
the Hamden Town Center Park.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's on June 9th, Saturday from 10 to 4.
Okay.
I will definitely put that on the calendar.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
any other
Saturday.
upcoming events that we should know about, let me know. Because like I said, I want to make sure we put these things out on our calendars, and we can make sure we can get everybody to come out.
I think June 11th is the Saturday. I put the link in.
Oh, is it June Saturday?
Let me make sure I'm on the right year, but yes, I think, Saturday is June 11th.
June
Okay.
11th. Okay.
Yep. Okay.
All right. So the email I got probably had an error in it, I guess.
And
Awesome.
what was the time?
10 to 4.
10 to 4. Yeah, you're right. That is June 11th is the Saturday. Yeah.
Awesome. So, well, that is awesome. Let's continue to talk. Let's keep talking. And if you want to drop your email in the chat, that would be great. That way we can all kind of communicate. I can start like a little email chain with everybody on the call today. And this way we can all make sure that everybody knows how to keep in contact. It'd be terrific. Just to know what's happening. This is just something me and Ms. Hayes are talking about. We really want to talk more about, collaborate within our community. Like I said, I don't kind of live down in that area yet. Could eventually live down there, so you never know. I'm going to be buying a house soon, so. But for now, I'm in this part of town. But I like that part of town, and I always feel like I never hear from anybody down there. So I'm so excited that we're going to start having these conversations on Sunday evening.
Yeah, well, come on down. It's a great part of town.
I know. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I was like, if I move down there, you already know it's going to be lit.
All right.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, y'all have a great evening and enjoy your week. And if I have anything come up during the week, I will definitely send you an email and keep you all up to speed. And I always text Ms. Hayes. I'm like, Ms. Hayes, did you know about this? The first thing I always say, please log into some of the Legislative Council deliberations tomorrow and Tuesday. Just like I said, I keep it in the background playing so I can kind of hear what the comments are. And it would really be great if you have any comments or any considerations, contact the council, let them know what you're feeling, and have other people contact them between now and Tuesday.
That's great.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on tonight. I appreciate everybody.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Thank
All right.
Looking forward to
Thank
next
you.
week.